Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Apologies if you're watching live, a few technical errors this morning, but we are live and that's the main thing. Lots to talk about, not all about Sancho, which is good for me because you do tend to get a little bit drowned in it. However, the mainstream media are pushing it and there are things that need to be discussed about it, of course. So we will be doing that. And we're going to start off with Jadon Sancho alternatives. Now, anybody who watches the show will know that this, for me, is something I don't want to talk about, but it's not the Mark Goldbridge channel. It's not That's Football either. It's the United Stand. And you must always be equal and try and cover all the bases. So Manchester United, Jadon Sancho alternatives. This is flying around at the moment, whether it's Ousmane Dembele, Vinicius Jr., Calhanoglu from AC Milan, Douglas Costa, Wilfried Zaha, anybody else, Kingsley Coman as well. Plenty of alternatives around Jadon Sancho for Manchester United. But I can tell you now, Manchester United are seriously not looking at any Jadon Sancho alternatives. It doesn't mean that the stories aren't going to happen, because at the end of the day, when the Jadon Sancho transfer deal drags on, and we'll be talking about why that's happening in a minute, when it drags on, you've got to try and cover it with other things. And you know what? I could do a video entitled, in fact, idea for a video, put it up at lunchtime, it'll get some views. Top 5 Jadon Sancho alternatives. In at number 5, somebody we're not going to get. In at number 4, someone we're definitely not going to get. In at number 3, somebody that's got a really clickable thumbnail. In at number 2, somebody everyone likes but we're not going to get. And in at number 1, somebody totally and utterly ridiculously unlikely that we're not going to get. But I'm not going to do that video. But I will discuss the alternatives because I know a lot of you ask me the question all the time. Ousmane Dembele, to start off with. He's on the thumbnail. He's a player that Manchester United are apparently looking at. Right, this was a story that's been floating around for a long time, but if you listen to Sport, who are very close to Barcelona, they're saying that Barcelona would be open to letting Ousmane Dembele leave Barcelona on a loan or whatever, as long as there is an obligation to buy for 90 million euros next summer. Well, hello! This is what we won't pay for Jadon Sancho, 90 million euros. So why would we take an inferior Jadon Sancho, who's got a massive concerns about his consistency, his form and injuries? Why would we go and get Ousmane Dembele as an alternative? Calhanoglu from AC Milan is a good player, but I see him more as an attacking midfielder. Douglas Costa is 29 and injury prone. Kingsley Coman is not available from Bayern Munich. And, you know, anybody else from England, Adama Traore, Wilfried Zaha, you're going to pay 60 million for them. And then you're getting close to what you're going to pay for Jadon Sancho. So every alternative you look at for Jadon Sancho, you are not going to get, because it is just paper talk. Now, how does paper talk work? Well, look, I've said this before. You know, when we were linked to Kingsley Coman a couple of weeks ago, or when we've been linked to Douglas Costa before, or where we get linked to Ousmane Dembele, very easily, Manchester United could be contacted by a journalist who says, is it true that you're interested in Ousmane Dembele? No comment. Have you ever scouted Ousmane Dembele? No comment. Well, we'll take that then. Because Manchester United will have scouted Ousmane Dembele. Probably scouted him back from his Dortmund days. Manchester United have probably scouted in the last year 200 players. So that's all you need as a journalist. Well, that they're interested then. They've scouted him. Well, but we're not seriously interested in any Jadon Sancho alternatives. And we're not looking to bring in any other player other than Jadon Sancho. And if we don't get Jadon Sancho, I don't think we'll get anybody, because deals don't just happen like that. They don't just happen like that. Hi Mark, I got my A-level results today and I'm so happy. Don't think I could have got through summer without you. Keep up the good work, says Tarichi. Well, welcome. Well done if you did well on your A-levels today. I'm not going to put this tweet out. I've done it in the past and it's become very cringy now. But I didn't even do A-levels. I didn't do particularly well in my GCSEs. I wish I had. It's one of my biggest regrets. Education's very important. And if you're young enough and you do bad, maybe go back and do it again. But don't let it define you whether you do well or not. It doesn't. You know, I didn't really get an education. And I'm not talking about what I do now, because I don't think that's a big deal what I do now. But some of the things I have done before I did this, you know, I'm quite proud of what I achieved with very little education behind me. But I had to work hard. You've got to work hard against it. So get your education if you can, but if you don't, it isn't the end of the world. All these people complaining about Sancho's wages, if Alexi had actually performed, no one would have cared about how much we paid him. It makes no sense. Well, we've got Jadon Sancho direct quotes to discuss in a moment as well. Glad to see you live today, Mark. I thought after you suggested yesterday Martial for Prem's best striker that you might have been taken to Broadmoor, says Robert McCormack. Well, no, I just back my players, Robert. I know you've got Harry Kane on your wall and it's very sticky, that poster, but I actually rate our players and I watch them every day and every game, and I actually believe that Anthony Martial is one of the most complete strikers in Europe and will continue to prove people wrong like he always does. Hi to Matteo. But let me just read you this, just to talk about Jadon Sancho for a moment. There are no alternatives to Jadon Sancho for Manchester United. You're going to get bombarded with this over the next coming weeks and days, and I'm sure others will do videos about alternatives, and I'm sure other outlets will discuss alternatives. But none of these are serious alternatives for Manchester United. We're not seriously looking at bringing a 29-year-old injury-prone Douglas Costa in. We're not seriously bringing a flop like Ousmane Dembele in with injury concerns for 90 million when we could get Sancho for that. We're not looking at these players that people think we are looking at. And one thing that Cobb Ross Aikins, who's been watching the show for many years, messaged me about yesterday that I'd missed in the Fabrizio Romano Christian Falk podcast with Jan Arge Fjortoft was about the Manchester United deal with Borussia Dortmund for Jadon Sancho, the complexities of it and why patience is really important. Jan Arge Fjortoft said to Fabrizio Romano, Fabrizio, as you speak to all these different clubs and all these different agents, the Manchester United fans feel like Manchester City just suddenly sign all these players very, very quickly. No one ever hears about it and then it's done. Same with Liverpool. They do it quicker than Manchester United. There is an understanding that United and Edward would drag out all deals, be that Maguire or Fernandes. How do you see it? Is it United being a global club or are they just slower in their strategy? And Fabrizio said, no, they are not slower. They are a top club, so it's normal that rumours come out. But I also think it's a different level of players. With all due respect to Torres and Aki, they are not the level of Jadon Sancho in this moment as a top player. So when you go for a top player like Jadon Sancho in the last years, United have gone to buy top players like Bruno Fernandes, like Maguire, which are top deals. Deals during the summer or winter like Bruno. So when you go for these top players, it's not normal that you have... It is normal, that you have more rumours than if you go for a Torres like City did, who is a fantastic player and I love him, but with lower fee you can get him in weeks. When you go for a €120 million deal, you have to go for many months. You have to have an agreement with the player. You have to have an agreement with the agents. You have to have an agreement with the club. So it's complicated. And it is easy that you get rumours every day. And every day, if you go with a lower fee player, you can get the player within 2 to 3 weeks. And it's no big deal. Like the contract with Torres is smaller than Sancho, potential one. So this is the case in my opinion. He then went on to give an example of Inter trying to sign Perisic and the chairman saying it started on the 1st of June and we got him 3 months later. It was terrible. I was not sleeping to get this player. So a little bit of clarity there from Fabrizio Romano, which I'd missed. And thanks to Cobb Ross Aikins, who's obviously given us those direct quotes. That look, Manchester United I'd disagree with Fabrizio to a certain level. Manchester United do drag deals out. Manchester United do have a bad reputation over the last few years amongst agents for doing deals in relation to trying to get them ridiculously cheap. But Fabrizio is also very right that a deal for Jadon Sancho is not going to be a quiet deal and it's not going to be a quick deal unless we're very lucky and we just overpay, which is something Manchester United don't want to do. So look, my patience has got to be there with the Jadon Sancho deal. I still think it's going to happen. I'm still very confident it's going to happen. And I'm very confident that we're not looking at alternatives. Feel sorry for Ollie not getting what he wants, says Jack Birtles. Well, he's going to have to be patient like the rest of us. Hi, Mark. How about Thiago Alcantara? 30 million. That seems to be a good deal and we'll also add squad depth. We'll go back to what Christian Falk said a month ago on this channel. He favours a move to Liverpool. So let's see if they can find the money. I know a lot of people are freaking out over Sancho, but I'm still confident he's joining with us. Don't think any alternatives would have the same impact, says Dylan from Cork. Hi Mark, I hope you're well. I'd rather take 6 weeks for Sancho than sign an alternative tomorrow, says Muzzy Lions. Exactly. And welcome to Tim Bushnell, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. And let's just have a quick look as well at what Jadon Sancho said yesterday. I mean, I think this is just really poor reporting from Sky Sports, because they put a tweet out saying that Jadon Sancho wants to help special Borussia Dortmund squad this season. At no point did he read. That's going to panic United fans, and responsible reporting should be there are outlets out there that are just responsible reporters of news. I don't think Sky Sports have been that responsible here, because when they put a tweet out saying Jadon Sancho wants to help lead special Borussia Dortmund squad this season, I read and saw and watched what Jadon Sancho said after his pre-season friendly yesterday, and at no point did he say this is about next season. What he actually said is, I love playing with this lot. This is a special bunch and we have some special young players coming up. I'm really happy to be sharing the same pitch with them and guide them, because I was in their shoes and I know how it is for them. That does not say anything about next season. That is totally talking about playing a game with young players and him being a more senior player to guide them. He's not talking about next season, but that has been twisted. And this is why you are very important. This community that we've got, this channel, the Discord, whatever, very important, because it's responsible reporting. Of course, I'll always say when I'm given an opinion, and of course you will. But what his direct quotes say is that he's proud to play with young players coming through. He doesn't say, I can't wait for next season to play with these players. That would be a concern. To me, it wouldn't be the final nail in the coffin of a deal. But because, at the moment he's a Dortmund player, why wouldn't he talk about next season? But he didn't. And that's the main thing. So I don't get on board with that at all. He said he wants to lead them, no, but that doesn't mean next season. It doesn't. You're twisting words. He's a Dortmund player. He's going to be playing pre-season games. He will play another one at the weekend. That's another game for him. So I'm looking forward to leading them. Whatever. It doesn't matter. He doesn't actually say that. That's not what his words say. I can go back to you and read them again. I'm really happy to be sharing with them and guide them, because there's no looking forward in any words he said. He says, I'm really happy to be sharing with the same pitch with them and guide them on the pitch. There's nothing about his future or he looks forward to leading them. There's nothing about that. It's a very in the present statement about the young players coming through. But people will read things in what look, it's human nature, isn't it? Another comment here. Glazers and Edward would need to pull their finger out and cough up the money if we want to start challenging for titles. It starts here. And also, we're definitely not getting Sancho, says Ben Grady. Well, look, Ben, you're just going to make yourself look an idiot. You're going to make yourself be a target for abuse in the comment section, because it's just your opinion. To say we're definitely not, who are you? You know absolutely nothing about this deal. I choose to go with the people who do know something about this deal, and I know negotiations are ongoing, and I know that United are still confident that they'll get the deal done, and I know that Jadon Sancho wants to come to Manchester United, so I take very little notice of sceptical bloody comments about a load of crap that he wants to stay for next season. Also, let's talk about the couple of stories I want to talk about as well before we just move off from Jadon Sancho for a moment. Dybala has been linked to Manchester United again by Italian outlets, but then you end the story very quickly, because at the end of the story it says that Juventus would be looking for about £100 million. Well, we know straight away Manchester United don't have £100 million to spend on Dybala. And it's as simple as that. Bye-bye, William Arrar. Bye-bye. Go and find somewhere else to be a prat. God. You know what? I tweeted this last night as well. Well done to all of you who come on this channel every day or go on social media every day and just be nice. Because it's so full of people who go on this community or try and infiltrate this community or go on social media and be abusive. And what they're actually doing is they're just putting out a message of how shit their own life is. I've been that person. When I first came onto social media, I was an angry prat and I used to get into arguments with people. And it was so much of the time was a reflection of how unhappy I was. And I don't really do it now. I have, every now and again, but it will because I'm in a bad mood. But the vast majority of the time, these people who do this, they're just self-reflectors. They're just mirrors of their own anger, bitter, sad lives. Take a look at your life, put a smile on your face, go for a walk and start trying to be a little bit nicer to people, because nobody takes any notice of you when you're an angry little prat. And, you might think you're being a Billy Big Bollocks, typing something in capital letters, but actually everyone just thinks you're a prat. And trust me, I know this because I used to be that prat most shows, if anyone used to watch it 3 or 4 years ago. What goes around comes around, says Elevation. Don't know what you're talking about. And thanks for creating this community, says Lucas. And Chris Smalling, Inter Milan, it seems to be gathering some pace. I mean, look, we've got to get a statue for Antonio Conte at some point, haven't we? I mean, he's bought Ashley Young, Lukaku, Sanchez. I'm not saying all of those players are crap. 3 of them I really wanted to go. I like Chris Smalling, but if Inter Milan are going to buy him, this is a much better deal for Manchester United than Roma. Roma wanted Chris Smalling, and I know a lot of you wanted Chris Smalling to stay at Roma because a lot of you like Chris Smalling, and I do. But to be honest with you, Roma were trying to get Smalling on the cheap. He's been one of the best centre-backs in Serie A this season. Inter Milan have got money, and Inter Milan will pay a fair price. So this could be better for United if Chris Smalling goes to Inter Milan, because we'll get better money. Sean from Ireland says, I'm quite relaxed about getting Jadon. The only thing I'm thinking is, will it take all the summer and they have excuses for not more in? Well, there was a story yesterday, Sean, coming out that Manchester United have parked any other transfer negotiations to focus on the Jadon Sancho deal. I think Manchester United are a club that tends to do one deal at a time, and unfortunately that's because we don't have a director of football. And as long as the Jadon Sancho deal takes, it will impact on other deals. There are still people who are close to this deal who think that Manchester United are very close to announcing it. I don't see it. We're Thursday. I can't see. Look, we've got a Europa League semi-final on Sunday. We've hopefully got an actual final on the Friday. My guy said to me, and when he said it, I was like, oh my God. My guy said to me 2 weeks ago when the talk started, he said, I wouldn't be surprised if this doesn't happen till after the Europa League final. And then I was like, well, that's not going to happen because other people were saying other things. But actually, it might not happen till after the Europa League final. I know people want to be like, it's going to happen tomorrow, it's going to happen next week. But what have I always said? Manchester United don't do deals when they're on tour very often. They don't. And I know we're not on tour, but we technically are on tour because we're in Germany as a team. And I don't know why that has an impact, but if you go back over the last 6 years with United and count up the deals we've done when we've been on tour in the summer, they're not very, most of them, I'd say over 75% of them, maybe even 80% of them happen when we're back from tour or before we go on tour. So let's see what happens with that. Awid says, I want to be positive about this move, but I feel like we bottled it. If the rumours are correct about Ed trying to go back and get him cheaper, Dortmund could be angry or disrespected that they leave. But you know what? Look, you know what? There is no evidence to suggest that this deal is over. There is just Dortmund saying they want the money that they want. That's all I can tell you, and you could find this out for yourself. It doesn't matter who I've spoken to. I mean, a lot of these people have been on the show, but United have got to pay what Dortmund want, and then the deal will be done. So it is very close. I had somebody saying to me yesterday, well, you did a video over a week ago saying that the deal was done. Well, the video probably was titled something like that, and we would stand by that the personal terms are done, and that's been confirmed by 2 people very close to the deal. The structure of the deal is done, and that's been confirmed by a lot of people close to the deal. But the final part is literally what Manchester United are going to pay as the first fee. And look, everyone's going to be right to say that, well, it's not done then, is it? Of course not. But what we actually said is that it's so close you can always touch it, and all that needs to be done is cross the T's and dot the I. Because if you know anything about transfers, and what I was saying about what Fabrizio said before, the complexities of transfers take ages. But when you've agreed the terms with the player and you've agreed the structure of the deal with the club, all you've got to do is pay the first instalment. Has Woodward then gone back in after that? I don't know. All I know is that that's where we were at over a week ago, and now there's a blockade in relation to that deal. But there was a story over the weekend that Woodward had gone back in and tried to renegotiate the deal that the independent agent had already resolved. So I don't know, but I know it's close. Summed up, internet trolls perfectly there, mate. It costs nothing to be nice. We all have different opinions, but that's what makes the community great. Says Dylan from Cork. Thank you, Dylan. Progressive Dad says, I know we really need Sancho, but if we don't get him, don't you think we could spread the money over lots of other positions and have 4 or 5 quality signings after Deadwood sales? Love your work, Mark, says Progressive Dad. Yeah, but you know what? I think that, look, you're going to get Jadon Sancho for £100 million. People want 80 million for Jack Grealish. So that £100 million is not going to go far. Oh, I've got another 20 million now after I buy Grealish. You know, Sancho is a reason. This is what I'm trying to say. What Dortmund want for Sancho is very reasonable in relation to what other people are paying for others. Osman went for €60 million. Grealish would go for 70 million quid. Aki's going for 40 million quid. So 100 million pounds for Jadon Sancho isn't that unreasonable. And you wouldn't be able to do a lot with that 100 million. You'd get Van der Beek and maybe a centre-back. But you wouldn't get 3 players of first-team quality for United with 100 million quid. So I don't think you could do a lot with it. Transfer market's open till October. Would you put a centre-back that's left-footed, a DM, midfielder and a CAM for squad depth as a priority? Feels like Sancho would drag out, says Keith Keeley. I don't think we'll get all of those, Keith, and I know for a fact that Jadon Sancho is the priority. Sancho will happen. It's gone too far now to go back. Everyone chill. My worry is we need to sell, add more to the squad as we have no plan B, says Gentleman's Lab. Very good comment actually from Rio Ferdinand again, and he's right, and many of you have said it, of course, that Manchester United, when they were good, you'd take a player off and somebody'd come off the bench who's equally as good. At the moment, we can't do that. There is no player on our bench that comes on and is equally as good as a first-team player. You know, Brandon Williams is not as good as Luke Shaw for me, and obviously Luke Shaw's injured, and he's doing a great job, Brandon, but he's not. Bailly is not as good as Maguire and Lindelof. Wan-Bissaka, Fosu Mensah's not as good as Wan-Bissaka. Fred and McTominay are nowhere near as good as Matic. Don't even start about trying to bring a replacement on for Bruno, Pogba, Martial or Rashford or Greenwood. So we don't have any player on our bench that's equally as good as any of our first team players. So this is what we're trying to build. And this is what, when people say, well, what if we buy Sancho, what happens to Greenwood? Well, that happens. You take a player off and somebody equally good comes on. That's what we're trying to build. And that's what many of us have been talking about for a long time. I love the videos. Do you believe that the deal will be completed by the end of the month? If the Glazers can cough off 120 million, get this done, says Gabe Brooms. Look, from a business side of things, if you know you're paying 120 million pound for Jadon Sancho, and you know your season doesn't start till mid-September, and you know that the transfer window doesn't end until the end of September, do you spend 120 million pounds at the start of August, or do you keep it for a month where you're earning interest and then spend it at the start of September? From a business side, you don't pay your bills until as late as you can because you're earning interest on your money that you've got. So that could be a business decision, and Manchester United are a big business. And of course, as well, if Dortmund want 120 million euros and you think you can negotiate them down to 110, you've just saved 10 million euros that can be dividends to your owners. So business is very important to Manchester United. That's not a speculative statement. We are a business, and it irritates a lot of fans, but it is what we are. And sometimes you've got to acknowledge that and see why there may be delays, why we try and deal a deal, why we try and wait on a deal, because money sticks in the bank of us before it goes elsewhere. So look, there's a very valid reason for why this might drag out. And I think what's happening now, and I don't know where, get in the comments and tell me, where are you on this deal? Are you out of 10? Where are you? And just infiltrate the live comments for a minute. Out of 10, how confident are you this deal is going to happen, Jadon Sancho? For me, I'm still at 9, where I was last week, where I was on Sunday, where I was on Monday. I'm still at 9 out of 10 it's going to happen. I just don't know when it's going to happen. I don't. I thought the 7th last week would have made a lot of sense, but I never said it was going to happen. I just felt it might. Now I don't know, and that's hard because I want it done now. I want him holding the shirt up, happy days. We move on to other business, and he gets training with the team because that's very important. But you know, Harry Maguire last summer, 6 weeks doing a deal, didn't even go on pre-season tour with us, and he could have been, you know, getting to know the players a lot better. So the club don't necessarily think like that. I find it funny how 90% of fans predicted Zorc would chat shit, but still went into meltdown. Says I did it. Well, yeah, we did it on this show on the morning before. What about the way Dortmund runs business? If they feel they don't have time to get in a replacement, they won't give up Sancho even if we have the money, says Gustav. Well, this is the balance, isn't it? That is a balance, you're right. And yeah, we'll just have to see how that goes with that. A lot of people are saying that they're 8-5. People slated Bruno yesterday for doing obsessive compulsive agendas. People react since he saved our season, says Shiraj. Look, I don't often say this, and this is an opinion of Mark Goldbridge here. But if you think Bruno Fernandes is a flop, not good enough, needs to improve, football's not for you. Like, it's not. It really isn't. You are overanalyzing a player that doesn't need to overanalyze. How are you going in on Bruno Fernandes when, look, I love Paul Pogba. His impact on that team has not been what Bruno Fernandes has been. I'm sorry, and I know there's Pogba FC out there, but it's not. There's 2 or 3 players that have massively impacted this season for Manchester United this season that if you took them out, we wouldn't even be in the top 6. One's Bruno Fernandes, one's Anthony Martial, and as much as I don't want to say it, one of them's the Nemanja Matic from Christmas. The way he brought balance to the midfield from January to the end of the season was superb. Bruno Fernandes has been the fire starter, and Anthony Martial has been ridiculous this season. So they're the 3 players. Anybody else, they're just pretenders. They're the 3 players that have made us finish 3rd this season. And some other players have done great jobs, and I think Luke Shaw's been brilliant. I think Rashford at times was unbelievable. I think Maguire's been consistent. Lindelof's been good. But for me, Bruno, Martial, Matic, you can't do it without them 3. They've been absolutely unbelievable this season. We're getting a wide mix of people in there talking about Bruno. Some people are very confident, some people are not. What about Ollie Watkins? Says Jake Dobson, he would be great backup. Is there a way we could bring in good bench players from the Championship? And I love the show. Well, we've done it with Dan James. Manchester United have done it with Dan James. So, you know, Wan-Bissaka's been fantastic this season as well, Christian. But does a right back win you points? In a way, yes. But I think United got 3rd place because they had to start winning games. The defensive side of it, I don't think... Wan-Bissaka's been brilliant, and I probably would give Wan-Bissaka Player of the Year if he hadn't ended the season so badly because of burnout. Wan-Bissaka's been brilliant, but so's Luke Shaw, and I wouldn't put him in the 3 either. So for me, it's Matic, Bruno, and Martial that have been the 3 players that have made us finish 3rd this season. Because I think since January, which is obviously when Bruno came in, they've just been on a different level in relation to making the whole team better. Greenwood's been very good as well. Look, I'm not dismissing any other players. I'm just giving you the 3 players that for me made this team this year. Are we having a pre-season? If not, it might be good to get Sancho after his pre-season is done so he's fit and ready to go, says Nick Warren. Yeah, I mean, look, there's not really much value bringing Jadon Sancho to Manchester United at the moment because he can't train, I suppose. But look, he's playing in pre-season games for Dortmund. He could twist his knee and then the deal doesn't happen. This is something we did with Bruno, though, so you can't read too much into that. Bruno was playing competitive games for 3 weeks with Sporting Lisbon whilst we were trying to get a deal done. So the rules change. The disrespect on Pogba is sacrificing his position for Bruno. That's a disgrace. We should be playing our best player's ability, which is Pogba play 4-3-3, says Active Dan. We do play a 4-3-3, Active Dan. See, I love Pogba, but he's not on the same level of Bruno Fernandes this season in relation to what he's done for Manchester United. But a lot of people gave Pogba stick for the quarter-final against Copenhagen. I thought he played really, really well. So I think Pogba is enjoying playing with Bruno and Martial. And I think United are going to reap the benefits from that. So, yes. What do you think about Federico Chiesa? Well, he's just another alternative that we're not buying. That's what I think about that. We're just not in for Federico Chiesa seriously. And I'll go back to what I said at the start of the show. Don't worry if you think we're looking at alternatives because we're seriously not. But there will be lots of stories about alternatives because that's just the way it works. I've dropped a link in the video description for our Discord. As you can see, I'm on there at the moment, and I'm in the gaming chat at the moment. But the transfers chat is where it's at. Basically, the way the Discord works, you can only get in there through our invite, which I've dropped in the video description, and it's a 24/7 place. You can go and talk with fellow United standers about transfers, about the match, general chat. We've even got gaming things. We've even got calling queues where you can go in and talk to people all around the world from the community. Lots and lots of discussion going on. Get yourself on there because at the end of the day, the link is in the video description for it. And look, it's a busy time and everyone just wants to be talking all the time. I pop on there throughout the day. I'm going to pop on there in a minute. I do pop on there and just get involved in the chat because there is little bits of breaking news that maybe we don't want to do a video about, but we want to chat about. So get yourself on the Discord. You're all invited. Links in the video description for that. Please smash a like on the video as well and subscribe if you are new. If the deal does not go through, there should be no violence over it. It should be criticised, but there should be no indictment for violence, as Venkat. I don't think there will be, and I agree with you on that. And if Dortmund are fixed at their initial asking price of 90 million without add-ons, then what exactly is United trying to negotiate? Exactly. And the board may be letting journalists make their own stories just to do the deal after the Europa League and make themselves look like the best thing since sliced bread. El Hal. And there has been no bid above 70 million. Dortmund are on the stock exchange. Message has to be released. Such a bid would affect the stock value, says Matthias Braun. Well, I don't think there has been an official bid anyway. Because an official bid, it's like Bruno. We couldn't officially bid for Bruno because then he got a payback. So the official bid won't go in until discussions have been had about what's going to get expected. When there's so much hate, we're finally going to go. Why is there so much hate? We're finally going forward, says Jack Brown 852. I saw this yesterday. I mean, the United stand by some people still gets called the negative stand, and I replied to them, and I don't normally do it. And I went, 1, please come on the show and tell us why we're a negative community. 2, we're in a Europa League semi-final and we've just finished 3rd in the Champions League, and everybody's happy. And 3, nobody's really had a moan since January when the club put their hand in the pocket and gave Bruno to Ollie and things started to improve. So sometimes you've got to moan, and we've moaned on this channel. We know we all have. And some people are still moaning, to be fair. But when things are going bad and you don't moan, it's like going to bed in a room that's leaking and your bed's wet through in a hotel. Are you going to sleep in that wet bed, or are you going to go down to the hotel and say, I'm sleeping in a wet bed and I haven't pissed myself? And they'll fix the leak, and then you'll get a nice clean bed and you'll be happy. Some people think that it's not the hotel's fault. Support the hotel. You know, the reality is, if things aren't going right in your hotel room, whatever it is, then you can report it and get it improved. And that's what United fans were doing when things were going bad over the last 6 years. But I tell you what, they've done a great job. I'm loving the hotel room Manchester United at the moment. I'm very happy, and a lot of you are as well. And let's enjoy it. And that's just the way life goes, isn't it? Sometimes you've got to complain. I'll never forget this. I was over in Ireland and my dad came over to see me. And we were at a restaurant, and I was about 20 years old. I'd only not been living there long. And we're at a restaurant, and he took me out, and he ordered his food, and I got mine. It was fine, and he got his, and he went, "Those chips are cold." Waiter, and the waiter came over. He said, "Those chips are really cold. I'm sorry, I just can't eat them." And he went back, and I was a bit embarrassed. And he went, "You know what? I used to be like you. I just sit down and put up with it. But the reality is, we're paying for a meal, and that to me is not edible." And I said, "Well, they might spit on it when it's out there." He said, "But at the end of the day, I'm not eating cold chips. It's not good enough." And I felt, part of me felt uncomfortable and thought, yeah, he's been a bit of an arsehole really. But the older I got, the more I realised that's true. If something's not good enough and it's poor, then it is your right to say, if you care about it, that that's not good enough. But now everything's going well, then this is why on a TripAdvisor you should put 5-star. It was very, very good. Praise things that are good and be critical of things that aren't, because that's how you improve. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video, subscribe if you're new. We'll be back later on. I hope you have a great day, and get on the Discord. The link's in the video description, and I'll speak to you all in a bit.